is my quirky credit card game. You make weird financial decisions with a bunch of different credit cards and try to gain as much debt as possible. Since the very beginning, I had a lot of trouble making my game fun. I think the main problem with my game was the lack of playtesting, especially at the beginning. I made some really quick decisions and I stuck with them for a while, and it ended up not being fun because I barely did any playtesting. I barely knew what people were thinking about my game. So this is the lesson I've learned for next time. I should have worked on getting a fun game fast, even though it had ugly or maybe unpolished gameplay, just to quickly put it in the hands of players. My game was never really boring. It was just in a weird state where players weren't rushing to play it, but they weren't not playing it either. They'd rather play something else because after a while they had experienced everything. At first, I thought this was a not enough content problem, and to be fair, that was an issue with my game. However, I believe that your game should be fun with barely enough content, and then it can be improved on later on. My game didn't follow this rule, unfortunately. So I did. I added more content. More items, more cards, more everything. That helped immediately, and players were willing to play again, since there was more stuff to do and know and learn. But then there was a couple of problems. Well, first of all, the same problem as before. After a while, even though I had added more content, they'd experienced everything. And I think the problem is that I can never add enough content, or even if I do, it's going to be bad content or bloaty content with nothing to give for it. Even worse, it felt even more confusing because there was a bunch of random elements. If you remember from my second devlog, I talked about subtractive game design. This is what I mean. I removed a bunch of these extra items and stuff that had nothing to really give to the game. My next idea was to make the game more replayable. For a while, the game was just try to get as many coins as possible, which was bad because there were no real goals. So I changed that by adding new offers or randomly generated levels. You could choose one of 3, each with different bonuses, and it would progressively get harder. That cemented the game loop, but didn't actually fix the fun problem. Each round was pretty much the same, and like I said, fixing that would require adding tons of content, which isn't something I was ready to do. For a while it worked. My game was decently good and you could play it for a while. But it wasn't what I was looking for. So I shifted towards handcrafted levels instead of random ones. Levels I could design and tweak myself. They weren't hard to make and the game finally felt like it had structure and purpose. Then I playtested it. No one liked it. The game was too rigid. Player choice didn't feel meaningful. Players didn't feel like they had a say in what they were doing. They didn't think that choosing this or that was better. What was the point of buying one thing if another option was also designed to work? Even worse, when something didn't work, the player had no way of knowing why. Only I, the developer, did. This version also completely lacked strategy. Players couldn't plan ahead or experiment with better approaches. Everything felt very, very linear. After a lot of small tweaks and experiments, I think I finally reached a version of the game that's genuinely fun. I won't go into every detail here. I think that would be boring. But I really encourage you to try it out yourself. You can play it using the first link in the description, and you'll notice some big changes since the last devlog. Thanks for listening to me yap. I'll see you next time.